find out. Everything runs through
TechNTortillas.
Everything runs through
TechNTortillas.
All right, fellas. Look at that. Hey, Nick, it actually has been a while now. I haven't seen you in a hot second.
It has been. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm finding out that from some people don't realize that our mascot is named Tortilla Tom. I find that a little disconcerting, but tomato, potato,
Yeah, that's I've always said that myself, potato, tomato, and I just don't understand it, Dallas, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm excited. I was up till 3 a.m. last night, so I had to power my way through the day on energy drinks to watch some NFL. But 3-0 in the Big 12, baby. We talked about it a lot last week. What an opportunity that was, and they pulled it out.
We sure did talk about it, and now it's a reality. And fellas, just
some
like
would say, don't talk about it, be about it.
And that's the only thing we did. All we've been doing is being about it. But to Dallas's point, been up since 2 a.m. I went across enemy state lines. It was in Napa, California. And so I went back in time. And you guys did a great job of keeping me in the loop of what was going on in the game. And so glad to be back in the right time zone. And here talking to y'all. But hey, everybody, thanks for joining us on Tortilla Talk.
The hell are you talking about?
I don't know. Glad
Troy,
to have you.
Troy, you could have watched the game.
No, I couldn't.
It's not the way times. Do you understand how time zones work?
Yeah, I was in the past, and now I'm back in the present.
Is Central Time just the present?
Yeah. Do you not know that?
So did you win a bunch of money when we told you the outcome of the game?
Yeah, I was. Because you can bet there, and the book never saw it coming. I was like, "This is how this is going to play out."
They never would have known that you lived in Texas and that you had one of our phone numbers.
We'll just get into it. Arizona versus Texas Tech, 28-22, 3-0 in the Big 12. Dallas, I'm going to hand it off to you. What does that mean to you?
Dude, I've been waiting for this for freaking a decade now. Man, that was such a big win on so many levels. I think it's, we won the game on the road at Kansas last year, which, was against a ranked matchup or a ranked opponent, which felt really big. But, it didn't have the stakes that this really had. I know that was to try to get bowl eligible, but it's something different when you can win a game like this to put yourself squarely in contention for the conference. So it's been a long road to get here. I'm glad we pulled it out. It was the latest kickoff in program history, apparently, but that didn't stop the boys. They still pulled it out.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it was extremely late. Nick, how are you feeling about it? What does that one mean for you?
Thanks, Troy.
Yeah, you're up.
It is amazing. It's big, man. I mean, we all knew it was coming, right? We all said it from the beginning of the season. But yeah, I mean, it's massive for the school. It's massive for the fans. We always say this and joke around, but like as Tech fans, we're kind of PTSD of like, oh, something bad's going to happen. And even last night, right, when we saw Dallas, we were on the phone at halftime, and we knew we weren't going to win by 3 scores because it's kind of not Tech's MO, right? Unfortunately, we struggled to get that third score to go up three scores. But what we have been doing lately, and I almost think it's time that we're almost allowed to start expecting it, is winning these close games. If you had asked me before Joey got here, Nick, does Texas Tech win close games? I would tell you no, never. We lose this game 11 times out of 10, and it just when it goes wrong for Tech, it goes wrong for Tech. However, I forget the exact numbers, but I think it was 14-3 in 1-score games under Joey. We win close games now. We don't lose these games. And even last night, we were in our group text talking about, oh, the world's ending, it's bad. but really, I would say that the team has earned us to not feel that way in these close games because they somehow managed to pull it out. And for a split second, when we got the ball back down 1 point, I even thought to myself, we're going to go down and score because we've seen it happen a lot over the past couple of years. So it's really cool to see that. I also think what it means to me is it means I think that anyone that was concerned about Joey, I think this really puts a lot of people to bed, or puts a lot of thoughts to bed on that. I think if he gets a few more wins this season, which we expect, he's our coach of the present and the coach of the future. And I really believe it's going to be great for Texas Tech to have a coach that'll be here for the next 10, 15, 20, whatever years to build the program into what we believe it can be, as opposed to changing coaches every 3 years and having to change philosophies and XYZ, right? So I believe Joey wants to be here. And now the way that he's winning and building this whole thing, I think it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, I think the story of Joey's tenure at Tech so far has been like the adversity doesn't matter. Like he can get the boys up for this. I think we had 7 defenders in the 2 deep that were out tonight, and we just had guys stepping up. We had all of our free safeties were out. We had to convert a corner over to free safety who played really well. We had Braylon Lux come back from an injury stint and really play solid against their top wide receiver, one of the top in the nation. Tech is, I think a lot of those close losses in past years were because of 2 things. 1, the defense was horrible. And 2, Tech was just slightly worse than a lot of teams in the conference. And now it feels like we've finally gotten the talent in, and we've got the defense and the defensive play calling to win these kind of games. So it's exciting, man. It's an awesome game to win to go into a bye week.
Oh yeah. Well, and think about it too. What was the other knock over the last 10, 15 years before Joey got here? We never finished the season strong. We always limped into the end of the season, right? Even you look back in 2013, right? Start hot, 3-0, 4-0, whatever. We were 6, 7-0 going into the game, whatever game that was. Then we lose the rest of them, right? But now you have Joey. What's the first thing he does in his first 2 seasons? He ends strong. Did we start strong? Debatable, right? We had some out of conference issues, and we had some good opponents out of conference as well, right? Playing teams like Oregon. But he finished strong. And now what's he doing, right? He's adding on top of that. Well, hopefully, right, this season ends the way we want to. But he is hitting those other things that we were missing. Now we're starting strong, right? So he's adding layers onto these things that he's doing on top of great recruiting and on top of wanting to be in Lubbock. I mean, say anything bad about the man and I will have words.
Yeah, Nick, you took the words right out of my mouth. I wanted to call the man a junkyard dog just because of how gritty he is, man. You talked about how we had to grind it out the last 2 years. We're 20-12 under his tutelage. And the first 2 years weren't super easy, right? And so, yeah, but what did he do? He grinded it out. And so to your point, right, it's putting it all together this year. And, last time we started 5-1, there are a couple of NFL quarterbacks in that locker room. And also one of the top NFL offensive coordinators in the league currently. So obviously we had a lot of things going for us, 10 years ago. Didn't finish strong. So now it's time to finish strong, especially, take some time, reflect during the bye week and continue on with the momentum. But with that, fellas, let's get into the game. Dallas, what were your initial thoughts in the first quarter?
It was surprising, man. It was like a defensive battle back and forth the first few drives. Not to nitpick, but I hated that very first play call where we run a screen to Taj. That was it's so dumb. Like, just start it simple and hand it off to him. Like, that's worked on every opening series this year. So, I thought that at times Kitley got like too cute, like he's prone to do. But finally got it moving after those first couple of drives, scored some touchdowns. And defense, though. Defense was lights out. That was the best game. Man, I can't remember the last road game a linebacker had a better game than Jacob Rodriguez. And especially that first half, him and Ben Roberts felt like they were in on every single play, just making big hits on the quarterback, tipping balls to the line of scrimmage to cause interceptions.
Dallas, did you feel like they were moving fast around the field? I don't know if is there a term you would like to use.
Yeah. The boys were flying around.
They were flying around. Nice. That's a good. You heard that from someone?
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that from time to time.
Cool.
Do you want to coin that term? It seems like it's a pretty common term.
Yeah, but some people threw it out there pretty early last night.
Yeah. Well, Nick, with that being said, what were your thoughts?
Well, the boys were flying around last night. So I've got a few thoughts. Kitley, it's almost like Arizona's defense. Let's talk about Arizona's run defense, right? Statistically poor, right? Not very good. And sometimes I wonder if Kitley overthinks things, right? And I don't wonder now. I'm almost certain of it. Because I don't care if you think because they're the worst run defense, they're going to stack the box and they're going to sell out for the run. Well, let's try it, right? Let's test that theory and let's run the ball. But instead, to Dallas's point, he tried his cute little screen. He did some other stuff. When in reality, they haven't proven they can stop the run. So I wish Kitley wouldn't do that because it does put us in sticky situations. The defense was phenomenal, and but you're sitting there wondering how long can they keep it up, right? And not because they're good, bad, or whatever, but eventually you got to put points on the other side. And I would say I was a little nervous about the offense not getting out of second gear. I feel like they just couldn't really turn it on. The drive that we did, we scored that touchdown, right? But even then, just sometimes there's something about the road. I feel like we still get a little anxious on the road. Let's be very happy that the defense played so great, right? That was awesome, and I look forward to seeing more of it. However, we have to score and put pressure on the other teams, because if we don't, eventually there's going to be a team that starts scoring early on us. And I don't know how we would handle the adversity. And we've done it in the past somewhat, but if we go down 3 scores early, what happens, right? Or 2 scores or whatever. So it makes me a little nervous.
Last week we went down 14-3 right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, but that offense isn't. I'm talking about if we're playing like Arizona's offense, right? Everyone talked about Arizona's offense being so good, right? With Cincinnati, they've looked fine, but they weren't Arizona. So I just get nervous about what that looks like if we play someone who is, supposed to be great, right?
Statistically, though, Sorsby outplayed Fafita by like a lot.
Well, yeah. Well, our defense. Well, Troy, did you not hear our defense was flying around?
Well, I think Sorsby is better just in general, maybe the whole year.
Fafita's too small. We talked about that. Fafita over here looking like Gimli's uncle.
I loved our game plan for him is basically get him on the hash, and if you're going to force him out of the pocket, force him to the short side of the field where he can't create nearly as much. But try to
think about how many balls he had to throw out of bounds because of that, right? Like
it was like 6 or 7.
It was awesome. Yeah. And all I keep hearing, all I've seen is, he's going to throw it to T-Mac, right? But we didn't allow it. And so he just had to throw it out. And I think the other thing we talked about as well, which I just love is, look, the defense hasn't played great, right? Whether it's because of injuries, youth, whatever, it doesn't matter. But haven't played great. So you know what? Let's turn up the blitzing, right? Let's turn up the heat. And if we're going to go down, let's throw some punches, right? Fafita got hit hard a lot, right? And that wasn't by accident. So I love the fact that, hey, look, it was on purpose. So I love the fact that, he's still getting hit, some people say. But it's just good to see, like, hey, look, we're not just going to lay down here and let you guys throw on us, or, hopefully you miss a throw. We're going to come at you. We're going to bring our best players and hit you as hard as we can. Dallas, you want to talk about Dingle?
Oh, dude, I loved the way they used Dingle, and I've been high on him for a while. My dad, when he was getting recruited, said that he was going to be a star at Tech. So
Dallas
shout
gets
out
high
Scott.
on the Dingle.
But I love the way like a raw, like young talent like that comes in the game. Hey, you're going to basically play like a QB spy, and you're going to rush the passer and tee off on him. And it felt like he speared him in the chest like 3 or 4 times.
Dude, I thought I was watching WWE Monday Night Raw, and I thought Edge was out there giving the spear. It was crazy.
Dude, yeah,
Sure
he plays so physically. I'm really excited to see what he looks like when he's a junior and senior in this defense.
Yeah, it's Troy. Troy, I swear that there were times when our linebackers before the ball was hyped, that they were like this, and just getting ready to just giving a spear, dude. They were they were just ready to give Edge a spear, man. They were locked in, dude. They were locked in. It was good to see.
Want to touch on a couple of things there. I mean, last week, Dallas, we touched on, two of those major points that Nick had where.
How much are you touching, Troy?
I've listened twice. No, but just how physical this team is. They hit you and you're down for the count.
We hurt people yesterday.
Multiple. I mean, it happened last week and the week before that too. I mean, they're just a physical team, and there's no other way to put it. I mean, Rodriguez gets you, hits you, and he's like a boxer, dude. He'll just keep laying the wood, 8, 9 times, and they obviously added up. Fafita looked scared for a little bit of that game, and relative to the first quarter, I don't think it was any way how people thought it was going to go. If you said that the score was going to be, 7-3 in an Arizona Texas Tech game, you would have said you've lost your damn mind. But I mean, we've seen the defense improve week over week, and they just continue to improve. And this week was a great example of that. But going into the second quarter, we saw a few more points scored, not by Arizona, all by Tech. So what a stout quarter for us, right? It looked like it was going to get out of hand. Nick, I'll let you talk to me about the second quarter. You lead it off for us. So
yeah, it's again, it's one of those things where it felt good, but just seeing how we kind of played this year, the concern is we got to make sure that we keep finding points, right? I thought it was a great way to come away with points at the end of the quarter with that field goal. I love that we went for it. We didn't just knee it out or, just do a quick run play and just forget about it. We went for it. And, Douglas made some great catches. Again, we need to continue to score that way because luckily it worked out yesterday, but we got to have more quarters like the second quarter and less quarters like the third quarter. Yeah, right. Math.
Yeah.
So
put it on a wall, baby. Have more quarters with the second, not the third. Hopefully that stays up.
We just feel nervous on the road sometimes, man.
I think it was all the time, but I mean, obviously we changed our ways.
Here's what I will say, bro. Morton did not throw any interceptions, so good for him. He tried to on the second to last drive, but he didn't. But I would say not prone. I would probably say something to work on. He just seems like he's still a little anxious when he's throwing like that. He overthrew Micah, right? That could have been a touchdown throw. Luckily, we still scored, but he needs to just chill. I was anxious watching. I felt it. I don't know, Dallas. Did you? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I think Morton might be a redshirt senior, but he or redshirt junior, but he's not that experienced on the road. He's not playing, especially not healthy.
Well, I was gonna say he's been hurt on the road too. That's what they never mentioned when they were talking about his road woes yesterday, was that he was hurt for half those games that he was playing.
Yeah, and so I think getting a win like this will settle him down for future games. You don't make any
I agree.
backbreaking mistakes. You make some big plays when you need to. I think that'll really be big. Going back to the second quarter, I thought you had two moments where you essentially end up winning the game. It comes back and it's huge in the fourth quarter. Is the 2-point conversion on the swinging gate where you catch them totally off guard, where they only have like 3 guys.
They caught the cameraman off guard.
Huh?
We didn't even know what happened. The cameraman's like, oh, I guess they did a swinging gate.
Yeah, so I love that, and that's 2 times now where it's probably won you the game, because you did the same thing against ACU, which you lose that game in regulation if you don't convert that early on. And at the time, we were like, why are we even running this? Like, just kick the extra point. But twice now, that's set you up to be in better positions late in the game. And then that diving interception by Baskerville, because we're getting pressure on Fafita. He overthrows him, doesn't look to the guy underneath who's wide open. And then, like Nick said, you're hyper aggressive. We get a penalty after that first play, and I'm like, all right, just knee the ball, and you've done good in this half. I would have been fine if they just gone into halftime, but credit Joey. They said they'd be aggressive, that they were going to go for it. They were going to try to move the ball when they felt like they needed to and had momentum. And Morton throws, a dime down the sideline to Douglas, it was like 40 air yards to the opposite side of the field. If anybody, there's been questions, especially early in the year, about his arm strength and if it was back to fully healthy. I think that was probably 50, 60 air yards that he threw that just right on the money. So that was really good to see. It's just, yeah, one of the better quarters you've had on the road in the Joey McGuire era, especially against a opponent of that caliber.
Yeah, it was an excellent quarter. Just looking at the possessions, you get the turnover on downs. We punt, interception, then we go get a touchdown, interception, then we go get a field goal. And so we hold them to 3 points. We get to 18. And, the fellas are feeling great. And then Nick already alluded to it. We transfer into the third quarter, and things started getting a little hairy.
Fellas aren't feeling so great. Fellas are feeling pretty low.
Yep, fellas were getting a little scared. It kind of had the feeling of what an old Tech game could feel like, but showing some resolve, getting punched in the mouth, and showing that you can, not beat yourself is what we've seen in the past. But a few of the possessions there, we Arizona starts, they punt, we get the ball back, we get the ball, we punt, Arizona gets a field goal, we fumble it, Arizona gets another field goal, and then we punt and a touchdown. So how did that play out to y'all? It sounds like it didn't go too well for us in that third quarter, but Nick, what were your thoughts during the third quarter?
Dude, I was sitting down on my floor in like the fetal position, just like rocking back and forth. One of my dogs had walked up to me and just like licked me and then sat down in my lap because she was like, oh, this is bad. It really did. It felt inevitable. We kept getting excited because we were holding them to field goals, but 5 field goals is still 15 points. Eventually field goals do add up. I know we always love to say field goals ain't going to win you the game, but damn it, did it almost, so it's tough, man, because you're sitting there feeling like, our offense, which at home is, damn near unstoppable, right? And you just wonder why it doesn't translate the same way. Obviously, playing away games are it's hard, right? And it's different. But it's seeing these cold spells that sometimes our offense goes through. What it reminds me of kind of? It's like when the Celtics would have these like lapses where they wouldn't score. And you're like, how is this great team with so many athletes and so many point getters, right? How are they not scoring? And that's sometimes how I feel with Tech. It's like, man, we've got so many weapons and we've shown that we can do it. Like, how are we not even moving the ball? So we've got to come up with something. There's got to be some, and it's usually Taj. And I think unfortunately this week, the fumbles are what killed us there. I would say, because even we were moving on the drive after the option, right? We ran that option play. I don't know if I'm getting the fourth quarter, but ran the option, got a great gain, brought it to the other side of the right around the 50, the other side of the 45, and fumble, right? So maybe that's the security blanket where it's like, hey, we are starting to move it, but we got to do that more consistently because we will lose a game if we do what we did yesterday.
Yeah, Dallas, I do want to get your input on some of the things that Nick said, and really it's relative to the offensive side of the ball when we get stagnant. How do we avoid those woes? I know you're a big fan of Kitley. What is it that sometimes, and obviously in this instance, it's the fumbles, right? That's what stopped us. But how do you prevent that from, I guess, happening and keep the offense, alive?
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't know if that I'm a big fan of Kitley. I think that he's better than most Tech fans give him credit for, especially
You love
since
when he throws screens.
yeah.
You love the
especially since
screens.
we've adjusted our fourth down method.
Outlook.
So, but yeah, I mean, I really thought that third quarter was execution. I mean, like I think there were some drop balls, there were some blown pass blocking assignments, obviously the fumble, and so like I don't think I really put that much on the coaches. Obviously, it's the coach's job to make the players execute, but I do think that this team is prone to like kind of getting nervous and seizing up on both sides at times when we get a lead like that. And so I think we saw that. And, luckily we've also been the team that, hey, when the other team starts to make their move to come back, we're able to make enough plays to still win the game. But I think that's, we saw some people talk about it on Twitter, that killer instinct that this team just doesn't quite have. Maybe that's the next step that this team needs to take is, hey, when you've got a team on the ropes, especially on the road like that, you get a 3 and out to start the second half, go score and like make them like demoralized and make them feel like
That game could have ended.
Yeah. And so I think that's where this team needs to take that next step is when you've got a team in that position, put them out. But I thought it was really execution. Like it was, Barron not making accurate throws or drops or fumbles, stuff like that. So, and you saw when things go into the fourth quarter, guys started maybe calming down a little and executing that we were able to get the lead back and stretch it out.
Yeah, a lot of
In
it
the last 3 minutes.
Execution.
Yeah.
In the last few minutes. Really is. And because, for that instinct, it is get Taj the ball and let him do big things. And unfortunately it didn't happen in those instances, and the mistakes happened. And
I don't think Taj fumbles the ball the rest of the year.
Probably not. He'll probably walk around the school with it attached to his hand.
I will say though, like
the weird kid that carries the basketball around with him everywhere, and he's not even on the basketball team.
Yep. That's also Taj right here.
If Tech is gonna, live up to maybe some expectations we're starting to form now and go to Arlington and potentially compete for the Big 12 championship, there's gonna be some games where Barron's gonna have to win you the game.
Yeah.
It's still a league and a sport that is dependent on great quarterback play. And there's going to be some moments where, hey, we're not going to be able to just hand the ball off to Taj 7 times in a drive to go win the game. Like he's going to have to make some big throws. And he made yesterday. Quarter, when he did, he made a big pass to Caleb Douglas over there. Probably should have been another one that, Douglas dropped a tough catch in the end zone, but was able to get the lead back. He's going to have to be clutch in those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that you brought up Barron, and obviously he stacked good games on top of each other. I know you were a really big fan of his performance against Cincinnati, which he played really good. But here's another example of, 17 for 29, 214 yards, no touchdowns. It was a game manager, type game form. He did have a big throw here and there, but at some point, and maybe we don't need him to be that guy on the road, but there will be a time when we do. And so what is that going to look like? I think this was a big step relative to him just going into a road environment and having a game where he kept his in it the whole time. And we came out with the victory.
Say something nice about Barron. He hasn't turned the ball over, and that's also him keeping us in games too. So
I agree with that. And then we get into the last quarter, so it's starting to get real close. I don't know if we had already lost the lead. No, we lose the lead in the fourth quarter. No, we lost in the third. So
we were trying
19. We get a punt, missed field goal. So another big play by. I know that guy was playing really well, but missed a field goal there. We get a field goal, forced fumble, Texas Tech touchdown, field goal, end game. What were y'all's overall thoughts on the fourth? What were some things that stuck out to you, Dallas?
I'll start. Man, what a way to close out the game when it feels like Arizona's got all the momentum in the world. I know every Tech fan was thinking there's no way we win this. I think, the missed field goal really sparked some life back into the team. Felt like, okay, hey, let's go take care of business. And then, Rodriguez again with the play of the game, laying out, coming from behind on maybe the best wide receiver in the country, knocking the ball free to essentially seal the game for you. You still had to get into the end zone one more time to stretch it to two possession game, but just some huge plays by a lot of different guys down that final few minutes of the game. And there were some people, I think even the announcers said that they thought Taj should have gone down. You absolutely score to go up two possessions right there. They weren't going to be able to run the clock out at the 1 yard line from there. So that was absolutely the right thing to do from Taj. Glad he got his hat trick and redemption after the couple of fumbles. Man, just really clutched the last few minutes.
Yeah, a lot of swings in that fourth quarter. And I want to touch on one thing before I hand it back to you, Nick, is it was a game where big players made big mistakes. But Dallas touches on the last thing that Taj does, right? Gets a touchdown and rebounds off of that. So there were some critical mistakes by, some guys that will be drafted probably this year. So pretty cool to see the result from some of those players and us capitalize on those mistakes too. Nick, what were your thoughts on the fourth quarter?
Do you mind if I touch on it?
Yeah, only twice.
That's what you do. You always say it. You always. I'm noticing it. You're always touched on this, touched on that. What are you corporate? Huh? Jesus. Let me touch on something you said. So what the fourth quarter, I would say, obviously, I shaved probably a couple of years off my life. Great to see us grit out that win. I think this is another reason why I think it's time we just trust what Joey's doing, because he made that decision to punt. I know there were people that did not like that decision. It was the right decision. And he trusted the way the game was going. And Joey had mentioned that too, that, yes, analytics matter, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, he's going to feel the game and make decisions based off what the game is giving him, right? What he's feeling. And the defense had been showing up. Arizona, without our turnovers at midfield and things like that, Arizona had not really been able to drive the ball downfield. Anytime that they started in 30 or back, they weren't scoring, right? All their scoring drives were pretty good field position to start. So he trusted the D. He's punted it. It worked out, right? They missed a field goal. College kicker, man, he ain't gonna make 5 of 5. Okay, he's gonna miss one, and he did, right? So we got the ball back, and then from there it was, I think, Barron, dusting off the old shoulder and making some throws, and we would have liked to score a touchdown. but it happens. That was a tough throw to Douglas, and that was a tough catch that he missed in the end zone. But, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have gotten there in the first place. Clutch kick. What a kick to get us up 2. And then again, to Dallas's point earlier about, what a punch out. Oh my goodness. The guy's like a superhero. He was dove, he was vertical and just boom, knocks the ball. Dude, it was so clean. It was like it was rehearsed. It just, I'm watching the game and I'm just like, oh my God, did the ball just flow out? It was beautiful. And right into our hands. There was 6 tech people around and oh yeah, we're good to go. So that was exciting to see. Again, you have to score in that point. Taj there, yeah, because there's no guaranteeing that if he takes the knee at the 1 that we're going to score, and then they get the ball back. So then what, we kick a field goal or go for it on 4th and don't get it, then what happens? So going up 2 scores is very important. Those announcers made a few errors last night. I think that was one. I also think they said that Joey, his brother, is on the coaching staff. That's not accurate.
There's an F-bomb dropped. That wasn't them though. But
no, that was the players. Yeah, that was. That, I was so confused when you texted that because that happens a lot.
No, dude, that sounded like it was like a producer or something.
Troy was so flabbergasted by this. I'm like, yeah. Well, did you hear what Cam Ward said?
Yeah, he probably dropped a couple F-bombs.
Oh, you didn't hear what he said?
No, I didn't. I wasn't.
Maybe go watch the video. You'll trust me. If you think what the F-bomb, you won't believe what he said on camera in live TV. Him and Vanderbilt's quarterback had phenomenal interviews.
Pavia, baby. Hey, you gotta have that.
These guys are electric factories. But yeah, so the fourth quarter, it was great to see the team get together. That onside kick was nerve-wracking. That was one of the best onside kicks I've ever seen not recovered by the kicking team. That thing was a spinner. Was it a freshman on our team that was
it was Valson. I think he's a redshirt freshman.
Yes. He didn't mean to catch it that way. That thing was going to spin off his foot, and he got lucky. Well, the announcers were like, what a shortstop move. No, dude. That thing hit his heel just ever so to where his heel pinned it. Because that thing was about to be a bumper car, dude. That was not fun. Not fun to watch. But good for him. Hey, great job getting down and getting the ball. But yeah, again, I would appreciate if we could put teams out earlier so we didn't have to worry about things like this. But hey, we're 3-0.
We are 3-0, and that's all that matters. I think some last things to touch on for us, just looking at the box score, talking about individual.
Some last things to what, Troy?
What's that?
Some last things to what?
That's right, Nick. Don't you forget it. So for
Darren, he's so handsy with all this touching.
Yeah, listen. Morton, 17 for 29, 214, 7 yards an attempt. Again, no mistakes really made. He was sacked twice. Pretty clean performance from him.
Dude, he tried to give the team the other ball. The third to last drive. He was doing everything in his power to give them the ball back.
We were very fortunate there, but didn't happen. So
thank God.
Any thoughts on Morton?
I think he gets better. I think he's getting better, man. I think he is calming down. To what you said earlier, Troy, he did not throw an interception. He's still not turning the ball over. I think he's getting better, man. I'm excited, and I hope that he gets more confident because I can still feel a little bit of anxiety. It seems like, obviously that's just me saying that, but I think get a couple more wins under his belt, and he's going to get real swaggy real quick.
Yeah, he will. He's
what you want from your quarterback.
He's going to be great. I think this was a game where, he just did what he had to do. Opposite side of the ball, Fafita, or I guess Arizona's side of the ball, you hold him to 28 for 49 and he had 2 interceptions. I think that's the first time in his career that he's had 2 interceptions. So I think that speaks a lot to our defense and what we're able to do to him. Although he hasn't had, the season everybody thought he was going to have, still very impressive. They have a lot of ability on that team. So, Dallas, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been 3 right before that missed field goal. We had a pick that McMillan was able to strip out of, I think it was maybe McCarty's hands. I can't remember.
It was.
Yeah, so huge there. Real briefly, I want to talk about Texas Tech being left off the AP poll before we move on to the rest of the Big 12. And I've seen a lot of Tech fans be like, oh, no, we don't deserve it. Like, what if, the beginning of the year was too rough? Well, Vanderbilt got more votes than us, and they lost to freaking Georgia State. And I know they just upset the number 1 team in the country, but I don't think it's unreasonable for the top team in a power conference halfway through the season to be ranked. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. And people look at the strength of schedule. I've got a few stats here about Tech's strength of schedule.
Uh-oh.
Right? So your strength of record. So that's basically comparing teams, how good the teams they've beat and lost to are, and how other teams might have fared in the same record or the same teams that Tech played. So you're 23rd in the country in that. I'd say that's worthy of being ranked. By the way, top 4 teams in the country, 2 of them are Big 12 teams. So keep that in mind when you think about the SEC superiority complex that's out in the national media. Your opponents that you have played so far are 18-3 outside of their games against Tech. They've lost 3 combined games. Arizona, Arizona State, UNT, Washington State, and ACU have combined 18-3. So I think you've fallen victim to preseason expectations of who the first 6 teams on your schedule were supposed to be coming into the year. And they've, I think, all been superior to those expectations. Tech, I think one of the better stats to look at for a team's overall efficiency and how they might project out to the rest of the year is EPA per play, so expected points added per play. Basically, looking at per play, how successful you are, how many yards you're getting versus how many yards you're preventing the other team. Tech's 19th in the country, 3rd in the conference. We've beaten number 4, 6, and 9 in the conference. Looking down the road, the next six matchups are number 16 in the conference, number 10 in the conference, number 1, that's Iowa State, which will be a tough matchup, number 8, number 11, and number 14 in the conference. We talked about what an opportunity Arizona that game was. You've now set up perfectly to play some struggling teams down the stretch. You'll have a really tough matchup against Colorado and Iowa State, but there are some teams that have really not performed up to expectations so far that could put you in real contention for Arlington. So, man, I'm just excited.
Dude, no, I'm excited.
I had to get that in there because I saw a lot of people throwing around, we don't deserve it, we don't deserve it, even Tech fans. Yeah. And I know that's part of like the PTSD of a Tech fan, but this record and this resume is better than a lot of people give it credit for.
Yeah. Well, don't have loser mentality. Don't do that. You know, if you're a Tech fan out there saying we don't deserve it, you got to change mentality or figure something out with your life, because get off the wagon. We don't need loser mentality here. We're a bunch of winners. All right.
Find out. Everything runs through
TechNTortillas.
Everything runs through
TechNTortillas.
Thank you, Troy. Exactly. All right. When I woke up this morning, the coffee tasted a little different. Tasted a little better. All right. When I woke up this morning, the food a little sweeter. The sours tasted sourer. The sweeter tasted sweeter. Right. The spicy, a little more kick.
Had quite the breakfast this morning. Nick.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Troy? Guess what? Winners get what they want. Okay. And I had what I wanted.
It was a glass of milk, and I don't know why it was so sour.
And I don't know why it was sweet and spicy and savory, but it was. All right. The snozberries taste like snozberries, and Texas Tech is going to the Big 12 championship. Woo!
Yeah, you guys touched very well on all that, so I'm not going to give my thoughts.
I'm touching all over the place.
Yeah, you nailed it, both of y'all. So we'll get there, but with that, let's go around the Big 12 and we'll talk about some of the other games that happened this week. So we'll start off with Friday, Houston versus TCU. Houston, they've been saving all their points for this game. Houston wins 30-19. TCU is on the struggle bus, but what is his first name? Was it his Chris out of nowhere, from the top ropes? He takes over, I guess. So Zion Chris takes over for Donovan Smith, Dogovan. That looked like to be the right move. That kid was dynamic. 141 passing yards and almost 100 rushing yards. Dallas, what are your thoughts on this game?
Dude, remember when people were saying before the year that Donovan Smith might be a first-round draft pick?
Who said that?
Dude, there were some people out there. I'll have to go surface some tweets.
Dallas, what dark parts of Twitter are you reading?
Look, I'm all over Twitter, but that was he. A lot of people were saying that he was a. I mean, you know how they fall in love with mobile quarterbacks.
Troy, you know what that reminds me of? Him saying that. That reminds me of like if someone on like some random podcast that they have were like, a lot of people are saying Texas Tech was going to go undefeated, and then they're like, "Who said that?" Then they're like, "The TechNTortillas guys."
No, it was like PFF or somebody. It was like a legit like.
And we're not.
Huh?
Oh, and we're not legit?
Well, no. I mean, clearly we're more legit than them if they thought that Donovan Smith was going to be a first-round quarterback.
Clearly.
But, yeah, dude, TCU is really, really bad. And I mean, I think it's indicative that UCF game that we thought, UCF went into Fort Worth and really controlled that game and won. Well, UCF is horrible. I think we're finding out a lot. I think we're finding out a lot about some teams at the bottom half of the Big 12.
Dallas, would you call them stinky?
Yeah, pretty stinky. Basically, anything south of Lubbock in the Big 12 has been
pretty stinky.
Yeah.
Well, good thing, Nick. This game's on you. The next one we're going into more south of Lubbock. Baylor versus Iowa State. It looked like it was going to be a game, and I think Baylor just forgot to come out of the locker room in the second half. Did you get to watch any of this game?
No, I didn't watch it, but I did know. Here's what I can tell you. There was a time during the game where I remember thinking, oh, Baylor could win, and then that would be awesome, again, for Tech going to the Big 12 championship because give everyone other than us Big 12 losses, right? And then I looked at the final score because I didn't hear anything else about the game, and they got their asses kicked. So, so I don't know what happened from point A to point B. Maybe you're right, Troy. Maybe I missed something where they didn't come out in the second half. But, I remember being upset about it. That was a bummer. But Iowa State to me reminds me a little bit of Kansas State. Just the fact that like they're always going to be okay at the worst, right? I don't think they're ever going to be bad. So you got to be careful. And then when they're good, right? They're tough. So we just got to be careful with them and really make sure that we show that respect. But before that, even, we can say how bad Baylor is, but we just got to make sure one game at a time, right? But let's win the bye week. And then after we beat the bye week, let's focus on Baylor. And we'll go from there. Yeah,
nothing on too much in that game. I think teams are starting to separate themselves, right? Iowa State's always, it's one of the better teams in the Big 12. This year they're at the top, right there with Texas Tech. Baylor 0-3 in conference play now, so it's starting to look a little scary for them. But Dallas, any other thoughts for that game?
Don't put a bear in a corner, Troy.
I thought it was really funny that Baylor Twitter has been screaming about how bad they've started games and that they're, a second half team. Well, they finally started a game well, but the rest of it didn't go too hot. Iowa State got that blocked punt for a touchdown, and then it was all Iowa State the rest of the game. So
maybe they're just a half game team.
It might just be a game.
They're preserving their players just in case, later in the season. They only play one half a game. Yep. So next we have West Virginia, Oklahoma State, another game where teams are clearly separating themselves. West Virginia wins this one 38-14. Garrett Green, did he get hurt? Dallas, did you say that he got hurt or no?
Yeah, I thought he might have broken his collarbone or something because it looked exactly like the Shuck injury a couple of years ago where he lands on it with a guy on his back. But he
so glad he lost.
Huh?
I'm so glad he lost.
Yeah. It was tough rooting for SMU in that game, but I'm glad they won.
Yeah. Imagine being an ACC team and losing to a team that's paying you to be in your conference.
That's it's a tough pill to swallow there. But I totally lost my train of thought.
Garrett Green.
Garrett Green, yeah. Okay, so I saw some people saying, is West Virginia a conference contender now? I don't think so. They've beaten Kansas and Oklahoma State, who are at the very bottom of the standings. I think Oklahoma State is bad and getting worse by the week. So I don't know what they need to change. Alan Bowman surely is not the solution. I don't know if you go to a younger guy, but when they've given some backup quarterbacks chances, they've looked almost even worse. So I think they might just be bad.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And we talk a lot about different conferences. Oklahoma State beating an SEC team this year, and that SEC team beating a couple of other SEC teams has not been looking great because that's one of our bottom teams, I think, for sure, and how they've played this year. So they're going to need to change a few things if they have any hope. I don't think Bowman's the answer, but I don't know if they have the answer on that roster, quite frankly. So it will be interesting to see how the rest of this year goes for him.
I get nervous, man. I mean, it still makes me nervous. Oklahoma State,
yeah, they typically figure it out. They got a great coaching staff, and they do have a veteran team. With
unless he's drunk,
he could be drunk. It's always possible. Next, we get UCF 13, Florida 24. Dallas, you've already touched on UCF might not be who we thought they were.
You got to have a quarterback who can throw a forward pass, man. It's just that's rough offense watching.
Yeah, 12 for 22 in this game with one interception. I mean, Harvey can only do so much. He's a great back, but when you become so one-dimensional, you become one-dimensional, and Florida beats you. And so, I know going into the swamp's not an easy place to go. But, to the flip side, not a great look for the Big 12 versus the SEC in that one. I don't think we have anything else with that game. Last game is going to be Kansas at Arizona State. Kansas 31-25. Kansas starts to show a little bit of life. I don't know if it's a little too late, a little too far gone, but they actually put up points this game. Daniels probably had his best game of the season with 3 touchdowns. So he threw for 2 and ran for 1. And then obviously Arizona State continues to show that they are a strong team. Scatterboo rushed for almost 200 yards. So, 2 dynamic
first favorite running back.
Yep, he's solid. That was another guy we beat, though. He was hurt by the end of that game. And gosh, what was it? Levitt ran for 77 yards and threw for 100.
Let's make sure we clarify. We're not condoning or suggesting we're trying to hurt people. We're just saying that we're tough.
Well, we just hit hard, man.
We just hit hard. That's all we're saying.
People get hit.
Injure people. What?
Well, yeah, it hasn't been like diving at people's knees. It's like hitting them in the chest to where they're like,
and then their chest explodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, They run through people. Kansas moves to 0-3 in the Big 12, and Arizona State gets their first Big 12 win. Any thoughts on this game?
No.
I will say Kansas, if you're a Kansas fan, this has been the most brutal season. Like, this is worse than if you're getting blown out every game like they used to, because I think I saw they've had a win expectancy over 70%, like in the second half in every game they've lost this year. And for them to lose all of those games was like 1 in 10,000. Like the odd, it was something crazy. They've just blown every single game down the stretch. And at this point, they've got no chance to probably even make a bowl game.
Yeah, it's not very
Are
likely.
they on our schedule?
No.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them. But that's around the Big 12. A lot of teams had bye weeks this week. They'll be getting back into play. We're going to take our bye week this week and go get Baylor the following week. Any final thoughts on the Big 12?
Just focus on what we need to do. I mean, we are literally in the driver's seat. We play the other teams that are undefeated. We play Colorado, we play Iowa State, and we do not play BYU.
No.
But we only need to play 2 of those teams.
Exactly.
Nobody
So
left.
we literally control our own fate. Win games. Don't let people get back into games. We need to figure out a way to get up that third score. If we can do that, we're going to be in great shape.
Yeah, I love the evolution.
When we do that, sorry.
No, I really like the evolution of Texas Tech that you're talking about. It's, now we're in these close games and we're finishing these close games, but how do you put somebody down and out for the count? And so we don't really need to figure out that
just
piece.
like that defensive end.
Wild celebration. That guy, he needs help.
Was it South Carolina?
I think so.
Dude, that was wild. He emptied several clips.
He emptied all the. Did he get flagged?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I think I saw him reload too. Yeah.
He pulled out a bazooka.
I saw him get a rocket launcher. Yeah. Just an animal. Just an animal.
Dallas, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, man. 3-0, sole possession of first place in the Big 12. Couldn't have asked for more. Like, realistically, couldn't have asked for more. Have 2 great opportunities again to get up and get to a bowl-eligible team in mid-October. Not a thing we've been able to say at Texas Tech very often, but we've got an opportunity to do it. Let's get healthy in the bye and win another butt bowl.
Yes, yeah. Let's execute there. And gosh, Dallas, getting healthy in the bye weeks actually, it's gonna be massive. Let's win this bye week. Let's get healthy. And
we are in such good. This is awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, great times at Texas Tech. Let's keep the ball rolling. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. This is Tortilla Talk with Nick, Dallas, and Troy today. Dylan, we miss you. With that being said, please follow us on all social medias and don't forget to click that subscribe button. Recom Texas Tech.
Shout out Tortilla Tom.
Tortilla Tom. That's his name.
Don't forget it.
Recom.